Hi everyone, Kate from Crocoblock is here, and yes, we're back to the office work already. But I bet you didn't feel much difference because our Croco team is working day and night to implement all those stunning ideas of yours and make you feel a lot happier. So I'm pretty sure that you're really excited about the new JetEngine 2.4 update, and me too actually, so let's bring it on. So guys, there are plenty of really cool features that have been brought to you into this new version, and there is a lot of new information. So to make it a bit easier to grasp, I've combined it into 6 blocks, and of course the timestamps to which you will surely find in the description down below, so please feel free to navigate along the video using those tiny little hints. Let's start with exploring the conditional logic for the metafields. This is a very useful feature that opens a new possibility to either hide or show the metafield depending on the value of another metafield in the CPT. So it is highly needed in case you have a couple of metafields that are kind of related with each other. So here's the post type for the properties available for rent, with the list of all sorts of metafields with its options like rooms, beds, guests, and so on. I'd like to add a few more metafields that will inform the customer of the possibility to bring the pets with them, and also what kind of pets are allowed into the apartment, house, or any other property. So what I'll have to do is simply create 2 additional metafields, one for the pets. I'll make it radio field type and set the options to yes and no. Okay, and now I need to create another one that will go for the types of pets. So let's choose the field type checkbox. Now let's add a few more options like cats, dogs, birds. Well, that's pretty much it. Okay, now let's toggle the conditional logic option on. As you can see, it kind of pulls in the repeater that allows us to configure the rules settings. So now we have a possibility to set the rules according to which this metafield will be shown. So let's choose the field pets. In operator, select the condition from the list. I'll choose equal, but as you can see, it works with different types of conditions. Another pretty nice thing is that for conditional field types such as select, radio, checkbox, switcher, the possible values get pulled into the value field automatically, which is really great because it saves your time and eliminates confusion. And by the way, if you delete the metafield from the list, the conditions that were applied to it will also be removed. Okay, right now let's open a random post in this CPT to see the conditional logic in action. Okay, so if the value entered in the metafield pets equals to yes, this metafield types of pets will be shown. So you could check the needed options. If not, let's set it to no, it'll stay hidden. Pretty handy, right? Okie dokie, a bit more conditional logic for today. Yes guys, not only the metafields have been upgraded with this unique functionality, but also the forms fields as well. Now you pretty much have the same possibility in the forms module. You can either hide or show the fields depending on the values entered in other fields of the form. So let's go to the forms. Open the one that you would like to add it. In my case, it will be added post form. I've already set the same kind of settings in the new post form, and to save your time, I'll repeat the same procedure with the added post form. After that, we will proceed to the front end to see the results. So, we need to add 2 additional fields for the pets and for the types of pets, right? So just like in the previous case, choose the type radio give it a name and set the label. Add required options, yes and no to the list and apply the changes. Now let's add another field. Choose the field type Checkbox, give it a name, enter the label, add the options cats, dogs, birds, and apply the changes. So, as you can see, on the right-hand side, we have a new button with 2 arrows. It stands for the conditional logic for the forms. Once we click on it, we can see the same kind of options to apply a new rule to the field. So here, you can choose the type of the rule, show, hide, or set value for the field. I'll choose the first option. Then, of course, you can select the field this value will be checked or compared to. So in my case, it will be pets. In the operator section, we can set the condition according to which the field will be checked. So equal, greater than, less than, between, so like in the range from to, in the list, or contain text. So in my case, I need to choose in the list because we already have a list of available options entered in the radio field type. It works good actually for the checkbox, select, and radio types, guys. So in the value to compare section, we can enter the value that will be compared with the value of the selected field. And you can actually enter multiple values and separate them with commas. So in my case, it will be yes. Over here, you can enter the value you want to be set for the current field if the condition is met, but I don't need it in my case. Okay, and guys, you can set as many conditions for the field as you want, which is super cool. So as I'm currently working on the edit post form that basically saves the values entered in the new post form and presets them in this one, I'll have to map the fields also, so give me a sec to set them properly. And notification settings need to be updated as well. So, okay, let's do pets over here and types of pets over here. Great. Let's update the form and proceed to the front end to check it out. Here are my properties, and now I'd like to edit, let's say, this post. As you can see, the fields have already been preset, but the newly added pets field is empty. So if I select no, nothing changes, right? But if I select yes, we get to see our related field types of pets. If I click on no, you see nothing. If I click on yes one more time, you can see the types of pets. So let's set it to dogs and cats, for example. Good. And let's check the single page of this property. There we go. Here's the section with the pets where we can see that cats and dogs are welcomed to this property. Cool. Okay, I've got a question for you. Did you ever feel like you really need to hide something on the front end? A widget, a column, or even a section depending on the value of the current post or page? Well, now it's a high time to do so because we've implemented a separate module for our JetEngine plugin, Dynamic Visibility for Widgets and Sections. You can find and enable it in the Available Modules tab of the JetEngine dashboard. Good. Now we can proceed to the page or the template and edit it with Elementor. As you can see here, I have a section for the pets, but not all of my posts have these values entered. That is why over here we see nothing right now, but the heading still appears. And if we check it on the front end, you see, it doesn't look that good, right? So what I want to do is to show the whole section only when the values of the types of paths actually exist. So for that, let's go to the Advanced tab and open the Dynamic Visibility section. As you can see, we can simply enable it by toggling on, select the visibility conditions, hide or show, so I'll choose show, and choose the exact conditions/rules from a pretty wide range of options. So in my case, I need to choose exists and enter the metafield name manually because my checkbox for the types of paths contains array. So you can also add other items for additional conditions, but I'm fine with this one for now. Okay, so let's save the changes and check our property pages on the front end. So let's open this one. You see, now the whole section that doesn't contain the info on the types of paths is simply hidden. And let's open this one. Okay, there we go. Here we can see the section with what kind of paths are welcome in this property. Isn't that great? Okay, Croco people, I've got a good one for you, and I bet you love to use it in your projects. As we already started talking about implementing separate modules, you probably have noticed another one that have been added to the list. Yes, you got it right, the data stores module. So this functionality allows you as administrator to create different data stores for the users to add their posts to. So kind of like their personal repository. And with the help of which such things as wishlists, compare, favorites, likes to posts can be implemented. And yes, we do have the Jet wishlist and compare functionality created specifically for the WooCommerce, but the data stores module opens a way to these options for the CBTs. Again, this module can be found and customized in the JetEngine dashboard. Simply tick it over here, save the changes, and refresh the page. And a new menu item appears in the dashboard list. Now we can add a new store, give it a name. Let's make it favorites, enter the slug, and select the store type. There are 4 locations to choose from: browser cookies, session on the server, user metadata, but please pay attention that it will be available only for the logged in users, obviously, and the local browser store. Here you can set the maximum number of posts in the store and enable the Count Posts option to count the number of times the current post has been added to the store. Good. Now we can proceed to the Elementor editor to see this feature in action. Let's open the listing item and add a dynamic link widget to it. Now, in the source field, we have 2 new options to select from: Add to Store and Remove from Store. I'll choose Add to Store. Here we need to select the store that we want to use, so it is favorites. Here we have a possibility to open the pop-up on success, and if we turn it on, we will see a big red notification showing us where to select the actual pop-up to show. So I'll not use it in my case, but here is where it can be selected. Okay, going back to the Content tab, here we can set the text. Let's make it I liked it. That will be shown once the item is added to the store. Then the URL, where the user will be redirected if he wants to check his favorites list, for example, and the icon that will be displayed once the item is added. Here we can also set the label. Let's make it like. And play around with additional settings. But guys, before we go any further, I'd like to create another listing item that will be shown in the favorite posts page and will display all the posts that have been added to the store and have been obviously liked. Why do I have to create another listing, you might ask? Well, it's because in the second one, I want to select the option Remove from Store. So I will simply copy this listing and change the settings of the dynamic link widget. Source, remove from store. Store, favorites. Label, let's make it dislike. Let's choose the icon and set the color for it. Let's make it red. Okay, good. Now let's open a new page, favorites. I simply created one to display the list of the posts that have been added to the favorites store. Okay, now let's search for the listing grid widget and drop it onto the page. Select the listing item, favorites listing, so the second one that we just created, and go to the Posts Query tab. Here in the query parameters, choose the type Posts and Author parameters. And at the bottom over here, you will find an option Get Posts from Store, where we need to select our favorites store. There we go. Everything else works completely the same as for the regular listing grid. Also, guys, we've added 2 additional dynamic tags for the data stores. So let's drop a heading widget on top of the listing grid. Click on the dynamic tags, and here you will see data stores post count and data stores store count. So post count basically displays the info on how many times the current post has been added to different users' stores. And the store count displays the number of posts in the store for the current user. So let's update the changes and see how it works on the front end. Okie dokie, so here's our homepage with featured homes. Let's like a couple of these ones. Okay, good. Now, if I click on I liked it one more time, it'll redirect me to the favorites page. And here we can see the quantity of posts added to the store and the listing grid with the properties that were liked. And if you want to remove any of these ones, we can simply click on dislike button, and there we go. It has been removed. Pretty handy and not that complicated as it seemed like, right? Hey guys, Profile Builder has got an upgrade too. You can't even imagine how many times you asked us to let you limit the number of posts a user can add on the site. That's why we couldn't just stay away. You asked it, you got it. This option can surely be found in the User Profile Builder settings under the Advanced tab. Here you can create and set the restrictions for the selected roles. So I'll set it to Administrator for now. Here we can enter the maximum number of posts to add. And over here, we can customize the error text that will pop up whenever a certain user tries to add a new post. So let's make it, sorry, but your posts limit has been reached. Okay, so let's save the changes. Good, and let me quickly show you how it works on the front end. So I'll have to fill out this long, but actually very informative form, and you can enjoy the music in the meantime. Okay, let's try to submit the form. You see, here's the error message that we've set up earlier. Yep, it's just that easy. Oh, and one more thing, guys. If for some reason the same role has been used in different rules you've set up, then the last rule that contains the role will be applied. Okay? Yes, guys, I have to admit there were a lot, really a lot of your requests to add one really useful feature. And it's kind of logical to have it in the Profile Builder. So you've already seen a video on the front-end post submission, and then you were like, hey Crocus, and how can a user delete a post? And here comes the awkward silence. So guys, now we have it done and added into this very powerful release. To give your users more control over the posts they add, you can proceed to the Elementor page builder and place a dynamic link widget to the listing item that is used, in my case, for my property listing grid. So let's choose the source delete current post link and adjust additional settings. So here we can set the text for confirm deletion message. So this one will appear in the system pop-up asking to confirm the deletion. Then we can set the redirect after delete option as well. So here we can enter the URL where the user will be redirected after he deletes the post. Then over here we can decide which delete post type to apply. So either to move the post to the trash or delete it permanently. And also we can set the label, I'll use delete, and of course we can add query arguments, URL prefix, icon, and other settings if needed. So let's update the listing and check out our account page with available properties. Okay, here's the delete button. Let's click on it and remove the post. Done. Pretty handy, right? So many cool features, and we're just halfway through our wonderful overview journey. And guys, please don't worry, as we'll for sure catch up on the in-depth video tutorials and more handy documentation that you might need. Our devs are so lightning fast that sometimes it becomes tricky to follow up on everything, but hey, we do our best for you. So what do we have next? Repeater groups in the Forms module. So basically, this functionality is pretty much the same as in the repeater for the metafields, but there is a difference in setting up procedure. Let's try to edit the single page booking form and add a repeater group to it. So I already have a couple of needed fields in my form. So I have the room ID, which is hidden for the users, but it pulls the ID of the current post. Then I have the dates field, which actually pulls out the check-in and check-out dates for the users to choose. Then order ID, which is pretty obvious. Then here is the family text field for the last name of the family that wants to book the apartment or the property. Over here, I have adults, which stands for the number of adults, and children, which stands for the number of children. Then we have the people, which is a calculated field for the number of people in general. And the formula here is set to adults plus children. Then we have the total field that calculates the total price for the number of days booked. So dates multiplied by apartment price. And of course, I have the submit button at the end. So now I want to create a repeater group for this form. And in order to do that, I need to add two new fields. One for the repeater start and another one for the repeater end. Good. And we have to place all the fields that we want to be in the repeater group in between these two fields. So they're kind of like the wrapping fields. Okay, so let's go to the repeater start settings. And here we can manage the repeater items count. We can either choose manually or dynamically. Okay, here we can add new item label that will be shown on the front end. So I'll use add information. Okay, over here, we can also calculate repeater row value by default, so it'll show the number of repeater items, or customize it and get a custom value for each row. So I've selected the customize option, and right now I can set the calculation formula right here. Guys, you can just look through the available fields and set proper macros in the formula. I'll count the overall number of people, so adults plus children. Okay, and also I'd like to add the total field a little bit. I wanted to count the total price according to the quantity of days and the number of guests as well. So I can just simply multiply it by repeater start field. Good. Okay, now we can apply the changes, update the form, and proceed to the single page of the property. You know why? Because here in the form widget style settings, we can see a new tab for the repeater. So guys, you can style its elements and make it more appealing. For now, I'll not waste your time on styling, and I will proceed right away to the front end to show you the repeater group in action. Okay, here's the form, and let's fill it out. Good, so let's make it 2 adults and 3 children. And there you go. As you can see, it calculated the quantity of people and it also calculated the total price according to the days booked and to the people that will be renting this apartment. Great! As I just mentioned the meta repeater, let me quickly show you some really nice changes that have been done to this particular feature. We've extended the support of the repeater meta fields to such types as checkbox, radio, and select. Just as usually, here you can create a repeater. So let's add a new field, test repeater. Choose the field type repeater and add new repeater field. Let's enter the label amenities, name amenities as well, and in the type field, we can choose checkbox, we can choose radio, and also right now we get to choose select field types. Pretty great! Going back to the forms, one really nice and handy feature has been added to this functionality. It's pretty basic, but really good to have while filling out different types of forms that require the input of bank card numbers, phone numbers, dates, and all sorts of numeric data. And yes, guys, I'm talking about the input mask for the text fields within the form. So here's the send letter to seller form. Basically, it's like a contact form. So I'd like to add the input mask to the phone number field. Let's open it. And over here, we can set the mask by checking this little option. As you can see, here we have a new block with the mask settings. Here, we can choose the type of the mask, default, digital value, or date time. So I'll use default. Over here, we can enter the mask itself. So we can use one of the examples and enter it in the input mask field. Then here we can set the visibility mode to show it always, show it on hover, or show it on focus. So I'll use always. And right here, we can select the placeholder that will be visible on the front end. So I'll use this one. Good. Let's apply the changes and update the form. Great. So let's check out our single page on the front end. So here's our contact form, and here's the input mask. Let me quickly fill it out. Wonderful! Looks lovely to me. Okie dokie, let's hop into the Elementor page builder to see a tiny but for some funky reason, really wanted feature of the listing grid widget. Yes, guys, you never stop surprising us with your imagination and really cool suggestions. You requested to have a possibility to show the number of posts in the listing grid randomly. So from now on, you have a possibility to enable this option in the listing grid widget, and once the user reloads the page or starts a new session, he gets a different number of different posts. So here's the home page of my website. And over here, we can see the listing grid for the featured homes. And right under the status field, we can see this cute little option, use random posts number. Let's toggle it on. There we go. So just as usual, we can set the posts number over here. Right now it is set to 6, but let's change it to 3, for example. And over here we can set the maximum random posts number. So let's make it 9. Great. So according to these settings, the posts will be shuffled in the range from 3 to 9. Let's update the page and proceed to the front end. Okay, so here's our featured homes section. Let's refresh the page. So currently we can see 8 posts. Okay, let's refresh the page one more time. And now we can see 7 posts. And let's refresh it again. And now we have 5 posts. So as you can see, they all are displayed in the random quantity. Last but not the least, I'd like to cover the minor but very useful features that have been added to the JetEngine 2.4 version. They're pretty easy to figure out, so stay with me for this couple of minutes to see what we've got prepared for you. Now, it is possible to store numerical metadata in the number field type that can be used both for custom post types and repeaters as well. So we can add a new meta field, enter the label, and in the field type we can choose number. So as you can see, it's got some additional options to play around with as well, so don't forget to check it out. Moving on to the next one. And guys, yes, this one is a big hello to our friends from the Slavic countries. From now on, when adding a new meta field and filling in its label in Cyrillic, the letters will be auto-converted to the Latin alphabet in the name field. And also, it applies both to the cases of automatic name generation and manual change. Let's move on to the next one. So guys, right now we have the issue with metafield names duplication covered. If you assign the same name to several metafields by mistake, you will see prefix with a random number next to the field name. So let's see. But in our case, the name is written with underscore in front of it. So let's see how the duplication prevention option works. There we go. So right now we can see a random number next to the metafield name. Good. The media field type has also been refined. Whenever you select an SVG image, for example, to upload to your post, from now on, the preview won't be empty as it was before. The same goes for specific formats like PDF, audio, video. Let's choose the media. There we go. So now, the preview will display an icon for the corresponding format and the file names will be visible right away. So guys, looks like we're done for today. Thank you so much for staying with me and watching this video. I'm pretty sure that you're really excited and eager to test out the JetEngine 2.4 update in your new projects. And also let me know in the comments down below what feature you expected the most. So please don't hesitate to ask your questions, submit your suggestions, and subscribe to our YouTube channel to stay tuned for the new videos. See you soon in our friendly Facebook community. Cheers, guys!